Afternoon, welcome back to the channel. I'm doing a close-up photography this afternoon, so I'm going to be photographing dragonflies, damselflies, other insects, and it's going to be close-up photography rather than macro photography because I'm using my zoom lens. And the reason I'm using the zoom lens, and I've got my 180 to 600mm Nikon zoom on my Z8, is because as you can see there's loads of vegetation, and this is a brilliant place for insects, dragonflies, as I say, damselflies, all sorts of other insects. But what that does mean is with all this vegetation, it's sometimes really hard to get close enough to take a photograph of a small insect. There's just too much. I can't physically get into the right position. So if I use a big zoom lens, I can still take some really nice pictures, some close-up pictures. It won't be like getting so close to a dragonfly that you can see every little sort of facet of its eye. So it would be a close-up shot. But because these zoom lenses focus to a reasonably small distance, this has got a 2.4 meter minimum focusing distance at 600mm. It means I can still get a big image of that insect in the frame, especially if it's a damselfly or a dragonfly, because they're quite big anyway. Oh, hang on, there's a damselfly just over there. Oh, that's lovely. This is, I think it's a common blue damselfly, and normally when they're sort of resting on a stem of a plant, they're out straight like this. The body's completely straight, but this one's got a curve to it. And I'm just going to take another couple of pictures. And that's the beauty of using a zoom lens, because I can literally just swing it round and home in on that insect, and I'll put this picture up after this piece to camera. So as I say, I'm going to spend the afternoon. I've been out this morning at this reserve a bit as well. It's beginning to cloud over actually, and that's great for macro or close-up photography because the soft light's much better. The light was a bit harsher this morning. I've still got plenty of nice pictures, but I prefer this soft light. So I'm going to crack on now, look for something else. I mean, that damselfly is still there. I might try and change the angle, but I've got some cracking pictures of it already. I mean, that's really nice. As I say, that's the beauty of using a big zoom lens, because I don't have to get too close. And also, by getting close, sometimes you can end up disturbing the insect and it flies off. So I can have a really decent working distance here, but still get some nice images. And I've also got a 45 million pixel sensor in this camera, so I can crop if I need to. So yeah, I'll speak to you in a little while. I'm shooting at a 1,000th of a second, and I've stopped the lens down to f8 to give it a bit more sharpness. Now, I'm not really too worried about trying to get maximum depth of field. That's what you try to do generally when you're shooting with a macro lens, and you shoot at higher f numbers, maybe f16, f22, to give you a bit more depth of field. Or you probably would these days focus stack, and I've done a video on focus stacking, and it'll be in the macro playlist on my channel. So I'm not really worried about that. I'm just going to make sure I get the eye of the animal sharp, and then if the body drops off out of focus, that's fine. But what I'm also doing to try and give me a bit more sharpness is I'm trying to place myself so the insect is parallel to the lens, so that way I've got more of that insect in focus. I'm shooting on 1,000th of a second, so that any sort of slight movement is frozen. Sometimes I'm shooting at a 500th of a second, because that reduces my ISO number, and as we all know, the lower the ISO, the better quality the image is going to be. Or if you don't know, that is one of our key factors when it comes to wildlife photography. The lower the ISO we can get, the better. So sometimes you have to shoot with an ISO, high ISO, because you might have a fast moving subject in low light, and then we just have to accept that that high ISO number will give us more digital noise, and we'll have to get rid of that in post-production using software. But today I haven't got any fast moving animals, because I'm waiting for insects that are perched on, you know, sort of stems of plants and stuff, so I can shoot with a slightly less fast shutter speed, so 500th of a second, sometimes 1,000th of a second. The reason I might go for 1,000th of a second is sometimes I'm taking the camera off the tripod and I'm hand holding, so I want to make sure that I don't get any camera shake, because this is quite a big heavy lens, and at 600mm it's quite a decent focal length, and you generally want a fast enough shutter speed to avoid camera shake, and 1,000th of a second on a 600mm lens will easily do that. And of course I've also got image stabilisation, which means I can hand hold at a slower shutter speed as well. The weather conditions and the light are pretty much perfect at the moment. What we want is cloudy conditions, so you've got that soft, low contrasty light, so all the fine detail of our subject is revealed. Now this morning it was quite sunny, and that contrasty light, it makes it a lot harder to do close-up and macro photography, because you get glare coming off the insects you're photographing, you get shadows getting in the way. So soft light, I've still got some okay pictures, but soft light is much better. So that's what we've got now. Cloudy conditions, soft light, it's fantastic. We also want it to be hot and humid ideally, because that means the insects are really active. And you know, there's so much going on at the moment. There's so many dragonflies and damselflies and loads of other insects as well, all moving around and doing their thing. And then the last thing we want is we want it to be really still conditions, no wind, because wind really makes it hard to compose your shot, because when you're in close, doesn't matter if it's a close-up or a macro shot, the slightest movement changes the composition, so it's really difficult. So as you can see, like, yeah, if you look at the reeds in the background, there's not a breath of wind now. It's completely still. I've got these lovely cloudy soft lighting conditions, and believe me, it's hot and humid, so that means the insects are really active. So I'm going to spend the next couple of hours here taking as many pictures as I can. I'm really absolutely cracking conditions, and this little reserve is just so nice. There's lots of water, which means you get lots of dragonflies, lots of damselflies, and it's really quiet as well and peaceful. So I'm having a lovely afternoon. I had a great morning, but I think the afternoon's even better because the lighting and weather conditions are just about right. Well, I'm going to call it a wrap now, guys. I've had a really nice afternoon. The sun's just started to pop out again, so the lighting's getting a little bit harsh. So I think I'll call it a wrap, but it's been great. I've got some nice pictures, dragonflies, damselflies. I've got a great shot, actually, of a spider wrapping up a damselfly in its web. So that was pretty useful to see, or great to see, actually. Nice bit of behaviour. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you have enjoyed it, as always, if you can give it a thumbs up, a like, that would be brilliant. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, if you can consider subscribing, that would be brilliant. More the merrier, and it's free to subscribe. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll speak to you on my next video. Oh yeah, just one other little thing. The great thing about this site is it's got loads of water, ponds and stuff like that, but it's also got a nice wildflower meadow, so you get extra insects. And if I can get this gimbal to spin round, I'll show you what I mean. There we go. If we look round there, you've got all that as well, so it gives you butterflies and stuff like that as well. So I've had a cracking morning and afternoon. As I say, hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching very much, and I'll speak to you on my next video. So bye for now.